I never thought I'd end up falling for someone on an online chat platform, much less someone who played romantic songs in a room full of strangers. But life, as it turns out, has a way of surprising you when you least expect it. My name is Aisha, a freelance artist with a passion for colors and a knack for staying in my bubble. This is the story of how I met Aryan, an IT engineer with a penchant for music, and how we turned fleeting whispers into a symphony of love. It all started on a dull Thursday evening. I had logged into the chat platform, a digital refuge I'd stumbled upon during one of my late-night work marathons. My plan was simple: listen to some music, finish my sketches, and avoid unnecessary conversations. That's when I discovered his room. The room's name was Euphonic Echoes, and Aryan was the host. He was playing a hauntingly beautiful rendition of Can't Help Falling in Love. It wasn't just the music that drew me in, it was the way he managed the room. He responded to people with quick wit and charm, a touch of sarcasm here and there, but always with kindness. Girls in the chat openly flirted with him, vying for his attention. He'd smile, type a smile, and skillfully deflect their advances, maintaining a respectful distance. I didn't type a word that day. Instead, I stayed in the shadows, listening to his playlist while working on a commissioned portrait. There was something so calming about his choices, a mix of classics and modern hits. It became a routine. I'd log in whenever I noticed his room was live, and over time, I figured out his schedule. He played music every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday evenings, and occasionally on Sunday afternoons. Without realizing it, I began aligning my work hours with his sessions. 6 months flew by. By then, I had made a few acquaintances in the chat room. They were friendly and funny, and I'd occasionally join in the banter. But personal chats? No thank you. The platform's unique feature meant you couldn't receive messages unless you added someone as a friend. Aryan was the only person I added, but it wasn't for conversations. It was just to get notifications when he went live. At least, that's what I told myself. One fateful Friday evening, as I was sketching a dreamy landscape, a notification popped up. Aryan has sent you a message. I froze. My heart raced as I clicked on the chat. Aryan, just wanted to check if I'm added to your messenger. I stared at the screen, debating whether to reply. Against my better judgment, I typed back, me. You are. Aryan, cool. You've been around for a while, haven't you? Me. Maybe. I like the music you play. Aryan, that's flattering. Any requests? Me. I'm more of a listener. You have good taste. And just like that, our conversations began. Aryan was curious, funny, and surprisingly open for someone on a public chat platform. He'd ask about my work, my art, and my favorite songs. At first, I was guarded. I'd heard enough horror stories about online friendships turning sour, but Aryan had a way of disarming my doubts. His sincerity was evident in the little things, like how he remembered the details I shared, or how he'd suggest songs based on my mood. Over weeks, our chats became longer and more personal. We talked about everything: the challenges of freelancing, the monotony of coding, our shared love for chai, and even swapped family recipes. He once shared a hilarious story about accidentally sending his boss a playlist named Breakup Anthems instead of a project report. I laughed so hard I spilled my coffee. Me. So, how did your boss react? Aryan, let's just say I'm now the official DJ for all office parties. The more we talked, the more I realized how much we had in common. Yet, neither of us brought up the possibility of meeting in person. It was unspoken, but we both valued the friendship we had built and didn't want to risk it. But love has a way of sneaking up on you. One evening, as we debated the superiority of biryani over pizza, Aryan said something that stopped me in my tracks. Aryan, you know, Aisha, talking to you feels like listening to my favorite song, comforting and endlessly replayable. I didn't know how to respond. My heart knew, but my fingers hesitated over the keyboard. Finally, I typed, me. That's probably the sweetest thing anyone's ever said to me. Aryan, it's true, you're kind of amazing. It was the first time I allowed myself to consider the possibility that Aryan might feel the same way I did. A week later, he mustered the courage to suggest meeting in person. I agreed, nervously but excitedly. The days leading up to our meeting were a whirlwind of emotions. What if he wasn't what I expected? What if our connection was only real in the virtual world? I found myself overthinking everything, from what to wear to how I'd greet him. But when the day finally arrived, all my doubts melted away. He is Renya. We met at a quaint cafe in the heart of the city. He was exactly as I'd imagined, tall with a slightly messy hairstyle and an awkward but endearing smile. The hours flew by as we talked, and when it was time to leave, he surprised me by saying, "I don't want this to end." Neither did I. From that day forward, our relationship deepened. We explored the city together, exchanged books and playlists, and even collaborated on an art and technology project. Aryan's idea of building an app that paired music with visual art inspired me to create digital paintings synced to melodies. The project brought us closer, and our mutual admiration turned into undeniable love. But confessing it wasn't easy. We were both introverts, cautious about risking what we had. It was Aryan who took the first step one evening under a starlit sky. "Aisha," he began, his voice trembling slightly, "you've become the most important part of my life. I can't imagine my days without you. I think I've fallen for you." My heart swelled. "Aryan," I replied, "you've been my favorite melody from the moment I heard your music. I've fallen for you too." Today, Aryan and I are married. We laugh about our awkward beginnings and cherish the journey that brought us together. People from the chat platform still talk about us. The quiet girl who fell for the music and the witty boy who played it. And those girls who once circled Aryan, let's just say they weren't thrilled when he chose me. But as Aryan likes to say, the best melodies are the ones that find you when you're not even looking. And for me, Aryan is my favorite song.